next up, let's go to the OKC Thunder, who last season had a historic season, probably the best season for a young team that we've seen since the Thunder
Since
when
the
they had
Kings.
Durant, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka, all those young guys, jumping all the way up from a playing spot to the number 1 seed in the West, 57 wins. Then they go in the offseason and they get Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, two of the most valuable role players in basketball. So, Joey, do you have any questions about this team? Because to me, the only question is what flaws do they even have? Because they just look fantastic.
I was just saying, can you bring up that depth chart? Because oh my gosh.
That looks ridiculous, dude.
They don't really have a weakness. If you want to say anything, it's their bench, but their bench is still really good all around. Like, you could say once Holmgren left or was out, like they got really small, and then this offseason they addressed that by getting the best big man on the market in Hartenstein. And you're like, hey, we already have Lou Dort, so let's just get another really good guard defender. And you bring in one of the best ones on the market as well. Like, this team is going for 60 wins and like a finals appearance. This team is so complete, so good. The only thing I have is like the question mark is health. Like, I know Chet Holmgren, God bless his soul, because after we missed his entire technical rookie year, or his would have been his rookie year because of injury, and then last year he played all 82 games.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like, I know he's gonna want to be out there, but I don't know if I would roll him out for 82 games. The man is still kind of like a toothpick in my opinion. So his bones could snap at any moment, and then I love Hartenstein, but then you're back to the same position where it's like, now we're really thin at the big man position.
Well, you got a Jay Will who played that backup role all season. So I mean,
yeah.
I think a question that I would have, I really don't have any questions regarding like anything that scares me about this team, because I feel like even if injuries,
I do.
You do, Nick? Go ahead. What's your question?
I have one.
Okay.
I have one. Okay, so this has to do. My biggest question is, I'm gonna be watching J-Dub. I want to see how good J-Dub is gonna be.
Okay.
Because if they can, my biggest concern would be just where's the offensive production coming when Shea's not on the court, and if they can stagger like his minutes a bit with J-Dub so that J-Dub is out there all the time when Shea isn't, and then he can like provide their offensive production and initiate everything that's going on with them, then they don't have any questions to answer, because like their roster is ridiculously good. But I don't know. I just I think that I don't think it was a bad idea to move on from Giddey, but Giddey was someone who could like produce offense when Shea wasn't on the court. And I just don't know if they have. I guess that would be my only question, is like their offensive production without Shea on the court.
That's a valid question. J-Dub, a guy who last year was sensational when you look at his scoring, his efficiency, his clutch stats were even better than his regular stats. He's a guy I'm super high on. I've been on record as saying that he is going to make his first All-Star game this year. I would love to see that happen. This Thunder team, they just play such great team basketball on both ends of the floor, and that's why I'm, so in love with them heading into the season, because even if Shea is off the court, no player has a bigger, there aren't any egos on this team. Everyone wants to see each other succeed. So players will give up the ball. This team is filled with primary to secondary pick and roll players. They can all make plays. They can all do things off the dribble. They can all play defense. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams. I think of Shea as a great defender, but that is mainly because of the guys he is surrounded with. And now you've got a Caruso. I think Hartenstein is so clutch, because I think their biggest weakness last year was the rebounding or the lack thereof. Even though they're, Shea, Giddey, Dort, J-Dub, they all did a solid job on the boards. There's nothing like having an actual big body that's going to get you those offensive rebounds. The question I was going to say regarding this team, who do you guys think they should start? Because I think they've got two ways they can go regarding this team, and that is, if I can find their roster yet again, until I find it, it's the question of Hartenstein and Holmgren together. Here it is. Holmgren and Hartenstein together to have two bigs on the floor, or do you go with Caruso in that starting lineup? It's like, which new Thunder player should start?
I think Hartenstein. I mean, just looking at Chet, like you said, the rebounding numbers. I think if they start Hartenstein, he's going to have such a big impact on the boards. I mean, we saw with New York last year. He was an animal on the boards. He was unstoppable. Offensive rebounding machine, defensive rebounding machine, whatever you needed from him. He proved that he is ready to be a starting center, and I think he deserves to be a starting center this year.
I would go with Hart. Sorry.
You're good.
I would also go with Hartenstein because for some reason, a new position in the NBA is power forward / shooting guard, and J-Dub can just slide right down to the shooting guard and keep Lou Dort at the 3. And then I really am interested to see what Chet would look like with another big man next to him, especially one who was literally like one of the top offensive rebounders in the entire NBA. So I would go Shea, J-Dub, Dort, Chet, Hartenstein.
I would also go Hartenstein. Chet Holmgren, and that's the thing. You're talking about J-Dub, you're talking about Hartenstein. I'm gonna talk about Chet. He's a stretch dude. Dude can play inside, outside. He's mobile. He can guard that well. It's not much of a downgrade. I personally think his best position is going to be power forward over center, where he doesn't have to be just down in the middle. He can stretch the floor. He can go inside if he wants to, but he'll get more blocks if he's guarding outside, inside. I don't know. I'm very high on Chet this year. If he can stay healthy, which is my only concern with him, I honestly think he can make an all-star game this year.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I mean,
if I had a hot take, that would be it, personally. I think he emerges as that number 2 star over J-Dub. I think he takes the leap over J-Dub and makes an all-star team and is the number 2 guy in OKC.
I think Chet or J-Dub, whoever emerges as a star whoever emerges, Chet Holmgren, if he's at that power forward position, it just unlocks the rest of the potential with this team because he's already one of the most versatile players in the game.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. That's just look at him dribbling the ball out there. It's incredible. Of course he has Zubac on the ropes. Imagine him, power forward just makes sense for him.
And he can play center, obviously, late in games if they want to go to that. And Caruso's a guy who's been used to coming off the bench before, so he would slide into that role. And that would fit as well with the defense on the bench. Cason Wallace was a very good defender as a rookie. Aaron Wiggins, an efficient beast on both ends of the floor.
Isaiah Joe got re-signed this summer.
He's
sharp
a sniper.
You got Jay Will as a third-string center guy potentially, or you could just stagger Chet and Hartenstein together. This team has it all. One
thing we haven't talked about is their youth. I mean, they have a lot of expectations here. Can they live up to them,
I don't know if I saw Minnesota do it last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if OKC does it this year. I know OKC had a bigger we kind of expect more out of OKC after being the 1 seed, and Minnesota kind of came out of nowhere last year, along with OKC, but Minnesota made it farther. I think OKC that was their playoff experience. I think they've had it. Shea is the leader. Chet finally getting his feet wet. J-Dub as well. As long as your big guys, your starting lineup guys, and even Hartenstein with the Knicks, you got playoff experience on this team. That's all you
Caruso's got a ring.
Yeah, Caruso's even got a ring. Look at that. I don't think the inexperience. I think there's enough guys who have seen it and will lead them and be like, okay, we're cool. We're cool. Let's just play our game.
And with that Caruso experience, I think that brings a whole other perspective, which not a lot of people are probably talking about with this team, but because of this youth that they have and so many of their players being on their rookie contracts, it gives them the leeway to make moves for a Caruso who's eligible for a 4-year, $80 million extension right around Christmas time. They'll probably give that to him. Gives them the leeway to trade for Caruso, probably extend him. Gives them the leeway to sign Hartenstein for 3 years, $30 million a year. But Caruso coming from, Chicago, but the Lakers, when after they won their championship, the front office, the management split up those players. Once it's time for J-Dub and Chet to get paid, the Thunder may not get better than they are right now. So they need to take advantage of this current window that they have, even though they're still, one of the youngest teams in basketball. Their window is right now. So they need to take advantage of it while they can before, those guys at the top have to get paid. And they'll be like, man, it would have been nice to take advantage of this team we had when, I was 21, 22 years old.
It's really funny that you mentioned that their window is right now, because the other two teams we've talked about, their window is right now as well. We don't know how much longer the Nuggets are going to stick with this team. We talk about moving them. Cat, same way. The Minnesota right now is probably one of their most talented teams they're going to have in a while, because they got to start paying some people as well. Like, all these guys, all these teams in this one division. I can't wait for the MVP season. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, well, there is a world where, OKC pays, $1 billion into the luxury tag. But heck, I think they'd be willing to for this team, because they go big name hunting. They want to win. They've been in the tank doing, if this team wins a championship, which I think they will. I think this team should definitely win a championship with this core. I know everyone said that with the Russ, KD, and Harden, so maybe it's a Thunder. But
curse.
Maybe whoever isn't there, or whoever the third best player is this year, if it's Chet or J-Dub, maybe they'll get traded to the Rockets and become an MVP.
Oh God. Okay, but as far as regular season win totals, it is at 56.5 wins. Joey, you said around the 60 win mark. I agree.
They're hitting 60 this year.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're going to be 60, 61, 62 in that three range.
This is my favorite to win the championship this season. I don't know if it's because they're all so young, but I'm going to go all season thinking that this is the championship team. They're obviously, it's such a competitive league. It's hard to really say, but I'm hopping on the Thunder bandwagon.
There we go.
Choo choo.